Welcome to the XYZ podcast. I am Millennial Producer Tony. Joining me as always are our hosts, Gen X Brian.
Hey guys.
And Gen Z Winston.
What it do?
What do we do?
I brought my catchphrase
I was
back.
very sad it was gone last week. I didn't feel like I was talking to a hip youth.
You didn't do your catchphrase this week, Brian.
Do I have a catchphrase?
Yeah, it's what's going on, everybody?
Oh, see?
The white man's catchphrase. Hi guys.
Bros, dudes, what's
That's
up?
hilarious.
Do you remember that commercial? The Budweiser commercial?
Yeah. I wasn't there for it, but I've seen it all over the internet.
Okay,
you
that was
the
one
frogs?
of those. Well, no, the frogs were fantastic. I'm talking about the What's Up guys. They
Wow.
were yeah, those guys.
They're like pick up the phone.
Yeah,
right?
right. For some reason or another, that came up, and my children were in the room. I'm like, you guys have never seen this original commercial, so I pull up the original commercial on YouTube, and it's freaking it held up. It's ridiculous, but we definitely laughed. So
Was that?
can we talk about Budweiser?
I don't see why not. After watching a bunch of other commercials preceding our last episode, man, have watched a handful of Spuds MacKenzie commercials that I just forgot about.
I love Spuds MacKenzie.
Who's that?
Loved him so it's hilarious when we explain these things to you, because immediately in my head,
Spuds MacKenzie was a beer mascot.
Uh-huh.
He was the coolest character.
Really?
The coolest. He Olympic skied and he played the drums and he hung out with all the hot women, and he looks not like anything that you would expect him to look like. Are you looking him up?
No, let me look it up. Let me look it up. Tell me more
What?
about
Hold
him.
on, wait.
Okay.
Give me a description in your mind of Spuds MacKenzie.
Spud MacKenzie sound like, in my head, I'm imagining like, you know, the dude from that Spanish beer commercial, the most interesting man
man in the world.
Dos Equis?
Yeah.
Dos
Yeah.
Equis.
That's who I think I'm thinking of in my head. Off of the
Go ahead and look up Spuds MacKenzie for me here, Winston, and tell me your initial reaction.
Yeah.
It's a dog. It's a Target dog.
It's not the Target dog.
Oh, jeez.
Tony is not kidding. Spuds MacKenzie was the coolest thing. Why we love
He was everywhere.
It was the 80s, and you're like, oh, this is fantastic. I got this cool ass dog advertising beer to me.
You got this dog rocking a Hawaiian shirt, pouring himself a cup. It's great.
Maybe
I'm
Bud Light
telling you.
needs to bring him back to make everybody forget about their past missteps.
Is he gonna be like?
true.
Is he gonna be like Punxsutawney Phil? That Spuds MacKenzie's not dead. He's still around.
It's
always the same dog.
Spuds. Yeah, and I remember finding out at some point that Spuds MacKenzie was a female.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I'm sorry if
Spud
that
MacKenzie
shattered
you
was a
can't listen.
lesbian.
You can't have a dog on set with a red rocket out. You know,
Oh God.
you can't risk that happening
Maybe,
while he's hanging out with the ladies.
Exactly.
See, this is why they can't bring Spud MacKenzie back, because it's gonna lose more beer sales, because they're gonna find out that she's a lesbian the whole time.
Oh, see now what?
Yeah.
It's okay.
This
How
one's
dare-
getting chopped.
How dare you soil the name of the great Spuds MacKenzie?
I mean,
And then they had Max Headroom. Okay, Tony, do you know who Max Headroom is?
Yes, I don't remember Max Headroom from. Was he a commercial character?
Yeah, he was actually this is perfect. He was the spokesperson for New Coke, I believe.
That's
right. If that puts puts it in perspective.
he's
Winston,
also the
have
guy
you
that
heard of
hijacked the TV signal thing. Right?
Yes.
WPN.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
That's
fascinating.
That's how I'm familiar with Max Headroom.
right.
And from
Yeah.
another character that transcended commercials and had his own TV show.
Oh,
I think Max Headroom was TV show then commercials.
Oh,
Yeah.
what was his TV show? He just looked creepy as hell.
Max Headroom.
There was like this 45-minute very special episode of the show that basically like was looking at this dystopian future
Yeah.
and about advertising. And somehow
right.
this guy, he was like a news guy, and he got sucked
Yeah.
into the TV and then became this like weird computer generated person, which was Max Headroom, but was actually this actor, Matt Frewer, in prosthetic makeup to make him look like he was computer generated.
Yeah, like it's just the way his face looks just so creepy.
Yeah, and then he then did, I remember, catch the wave, Coke, like was his catchphrase.
Yeah. So what about that signal hijacking thing? Somebody tell
So
me about
that's
that.
completely different. Yeah. So I lived in the Midwest, so my TV station was the Chicago broadcast. That's what we watched,
Yeah.
and that's what
Yeah.
this person, who I believe it's never been found,
No.
the folks on, what was it? What Stuff You Should Know, did a podcast about this.
I'm gonna plug two of my other favorite podcasts. Stuff You Should Know did an episode on this, as well as the good gentleman from Red Web.
Oh.
The Red Web podcast
Yeah.
covered this. But yeah, there was somebody with a Max Headroom type mask and corrugated steel that moved behind him to sort of
That was the
simulate
craziest part. Yeah, it was so weird.
and it actually cut in twice. It cut in during the news and was very quickly, something was going wrong with the people guess was a recording, and it was cut out. And then it came back on the PBS station and interrupted a Doctor Who episode,
Which was even weirder, you know. I mean,
he said all kind of weird things. He was being spanked.
Yeah, it was bizarre. The folks,
Yeah.
the folks that did that podcast did a fantastic, like, so I was a kid when that happened.
Yeah.
And so I remember that. I don't
Did you
believe I
see it?
saw it. I
Yeah.
don't believe I saw it, but I believe my dad saw it, like watching the news that night. And I
Yeah.
remember it being all over the radio the next day. And it was weird because who's able to, snatch a television signal and broadcast, what they want over it.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And they were imitating Max Headroom, which was that was very much of the time. He was kind of everywhere, and it represented this sort of like weird. I'm sure it was some sort of broad social statement that I didn't get as a kid.
So it was more like a prank rather than like some paranormal type of thing, right?
Yeah, no, these were fully people
Okay.
that somehow got a hold of a major network's television's broadcast signal and were able to hijack it.
That's kind of cool. But
Yeah.
you know what's funny is nowadays, if something like that happened, it's just like, oh, it's just a Tuesday. It's just like
Nobody's hijacking the highway or the airwaves, though. I mean,
Yeah.
now you've got a million avenues to put your message out. However, whatever it is,
You know what's so funny? The new thing that people have been saying is, you know how they have like that sphere in like Vegas, like the
yes, that
giant
looks
sphere?
amazing.
Yeah, people wanted to like. Somebody on Twitter was like, "Yeah, I'm praying a hacker would just hijack into the sphere and just put porn all over it."
It's
What's
gonna
wrong with
within
people? Why?
within the month. I guarantee you, within the month, somebody will have hacked into that thing.
It will happen sooner
And
or
it's
later.
got to. Have you seen the picture of they made it into an eyeball?
I did. And
It's
it was like
horrific.
It was crazy. Yeah,
It's awful.
yeah.
But
And
it's
it was next
just-
to a golf course. So imagine you just like on 18 hole and you just
Yeah.
like
It's a super
Oh.
big brother.
Yeah,
But
that's
just-
the outside of it, but the inside sounds amazing. Sound
Oh,
wise.
is there?
The
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
hubris of
stadium,
man-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a venue. But just the hubris of man to build this monstrosity in the middle of the desert is
Yeah.
just mind-boggling.
That's Las
Yeah.
Vegas, itself. Yeah.
Their lake out there's already in danger of running dry, and they're like,
Yeah.
just keep building stuff.
They're like all those homeless people. Yeah, screw them. Instead of
No,
building
they're-
housing,
They're in San Francisco. The homeless people live. It's too hot, I think, Vegas for homeless people.
well, no, they
probably.
hide underneath the ground is what I read.
What?
Yeah,
They're like,
Telling me there's
old
Las
people.
Vegas
Sewer.
lizard people or like
Yeah,
sewer
like
people?
they're high in the sewer. Yeah, I'm not even joking. Like that's a real thing. I think some TikToker like actually showed it. There's like entrances that like homeless people would take to like hide from the sun. It's insane. Yeah,
Yeah, man, it's hot out there. It's very hot out there. But
it is.
but inside, no, the whole design of it is, the idea is that there is not, like, every single seat in the house has the same perfect audio fidelity, perfect mix.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's
the way
super
that
dope.
you can do speaker arrays now and like have this thing, and like the way Dolby Atmos is amazing. Like the way that
Yes.
you can now mix sound
Mhm.
with Dolby Atmos. There was did you send me the TikTok on it? I saw a TikTok on it of somebody who did a really good job explaining how Atmos works.
I think that was
instead of-
because I was
okay, yeah,
digging
yeah.
into it
I
a
don't
while
think I
ago.
was.
Yeah, because I'm not on TikTok, but yeah, instead of your left right, speaker mix, now with this, it's basically, it's all math. It's all
Ah.
algorithms as far as math is concerned, and you can put basically your sound. Okay, I want my sound at this point in the sound hemisphere, and instead of just the left right or right speaker, in the case of 5.1, 8.1 surround sound, you're pointing it to a speaker, and now with Atmos, you're able to point it to a
Location. Right?
place, location
Yeah.
and space, and they're able to figure out what to make the sound like it was coming from there. So this,
That's
apparently this
insane,
venue
yeah.
is supposed to, every seat is going to be like perfect sound no matter where you go.
Here's my thing. They built like this super dope like little venue stadium area whatever, and it's like of all people you can get to like perform in it, they got fucking U2 to be the first people to do it.
That's interesting that you say that. U2 was one of the biggest bands on the planet, period, at one point.
Okay, whatever you say.
Right. So do you even know any songs by U2?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'll tell you this. They even gave me a free album on Apple Music a few years back, and I still don't know of them.
Okay, so for a quick refresher for those who may have not heard, and I was very much fell victim to this, U2 and Apple had the audacity to think, hey, we're going to give U2's new album to everyone for free. Anyone that owns a device will get this.
Even me?
This album.
Yeah, U2.
U2. Yeah. And so, but this was back when space was a premium. So suddenly they shoved this album to everybody's devices. I don't know how many megs it was, but people were like, what the hell, man? I like having like they suddenly ran into space requirement problems, which is not really a problem today, but yeah.
You couldn't even delete the U2 album if you wanted to.
You could eventually.
You
I
could?
think you
Oh,
could
eventually, but yeah.
because I did. I don't remember. Yeah, I same thing though. Was very angry about that. And that was back when I had a plug-in iPod. I plugged in my iPod trying to get some songs over, and suddenly YouTube flies to the front of the line and like gets on my iPod. I'm like, I don't even know if this album's any good. That's very it's very bold of you to assume that I want to download that when space is a premium.
Right.
No, but Brian, it was okay because they were one of the biggest band on earth.
So, Tony, what was the name of that album? I don't even remember.
I believe it was Red, wasn't it?
Was it Red? The album cover was black and white. I swear.
Yeah, it was called "On Your Freaking iPod Against Your Will." That was.
I'm looking it up here. Songs of Innocence.
Yeah, it was not innocent. It pissed a lot of people off. So, okay, prior to that, U2 coming up through the 80s and 90s, and U2 was cool because they you've got the Joshua Tree. And you have this album, and it's there. I don't even know how you would describe them. I mean, it's rock, but then they come along and later in the late 90s or the 90s with Achtung Baby, which was amazing. And they like completely reinvented their sound. And they went on these amazing tours and had these unbelievable shows. And then they shoved an album on everybody's iPod. And I think collectively that kind of shot them in the foot as far as people caring about them.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, that's all I know about U2 is the fact that
so you don't even know any of their great works. You just know them because they shoved an album on your iPod.
Yeah. On my iPad at the time, but yes.
iPad, huh? Oh, that's unfortunate.
I was an iPad kid, regardless of how old I was. I was like, what, 12, 13? Or like
right. And that first iPad probably had 16 gigs, and you're like, dude.
Probably. I'm like, come on, man. What's happening here? I was like, oh, even who does this? And I remember seeing the cover, and I would just get irritated.
Yeah,
I think I believe it.
Yeah, and I don't even know what I've been a fairly big early U2 fan. I don't even know what that album sounds like. The Audacity irritated me so much. I don't even think I ever listened to it. Right. I immediately figured out. Yeah, I'm googling how do you delete this thing.
Would you like to offer a song sample for
Winston
to add to the list?
To add to the list? Oh man, I'm gonna go.
You got one U2 song.
No, I'm gonna go off Achtung Baby. And that may be blasphemous because that's a 100% different sound from their earlier U2, but Mysterious Ways was like a humongous song. Song.
That's a good one. I would offer up either With or Without You.
Yeah.
Or Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For.
Oh, I was going to say Where the Streets Have No Name, but okay.
That's a good one too. But I think Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For or With or Without You are probably their two, in my opinion, their two biggest, most well-known songs.
Okay. So clearly, though, U2 is irrelevant to you, Winston.
Yeah. No. I do not know it. I sort of know the lead vocalist name, Bono?
Yes.
Yeah,
Bono.
I mean, I like the name popped up before, but I'm pretty sure it was because of a joke in Family Guy. Yeah, but regardless, I still don't understand why, of all people, they decided to settle on you two being the first people to perform.
Because I would say there's probably a lot of people my age or older that are going to plunk down whatever it costs to see them there. It's probably, it's probably a big ticket item. I don't think you're going to be, rolling
so it's not for
into
the youth,
sphere.
essentially. Yeah,
I don't think so. And it's like U2 is a classic band, but yeah, I can't even, at this point, you're like, yeah,
you know what we
care.
should do? You know what we should do? Add
Hmm.
this to the list of like things that I'm guaranteed no one at Gen Z knows.
Oh,
Like they'll probably know about you too, but I'm sure they won't know.
You knew
who
U2 was, but okay. So speaking of things Gen Z doesn't know. So after our well-received Two Live Crew episode,
Me so horny.
went into the field to see,
do some independent research.
Yes, some field reporting, and I now humbly come back and say I vastly overestimated how many people of the younger age even know who Two Live Crew or what Two Live Crew is or what they stood for. Yeah, nobody.
Do you want to tell the story of it?
So
to the listeners?
Okay, so out with some friends, and the podcast comes up. Naturally, I wasn't plugging the show or anything. It just came up. So what are you guys doing? Oh, doing a podcast. Cool. Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of weightlifting, but a podcast is cool too. Yeah. Podcast comes up, and I mentioned the thing because my friends who I'm out with are the same age as me, right? So they know who Two Live Crew is. I can say Two Live Crew, and I don't have to wonder whether or not they know or have heard Me So Horny.
Yeah.
They have.
Yeah.
So I think I'm telling them about the fact that you knew about that based on the movie, but not the musical group or whatever, and just kind of going off how I thought that was really kind of crazy. That was one of those things I was really surprised that you didn't know that. So then my friends being my friends, and a couple drinks into the evening, our servers come up to the table who are obviously in their 20s. And my buddy asked them, so do either of you guys know who Two Live Crew is? And they're looking at us like, what? It's just the look of like, they're trying to be polite, but they also have no idea what we're talking about. And then the one guy, probably just playing on context clues, he's like, is that a band? And we're like, no, it's not a band, it's a rap group from the no, you don't know who Two Live Crew is. Okay. and I just hung my head and was like, wow, okay.
Winston would say they don't play instruments, they're not a band.
Right. They're a group.
Twice.
They're a rap outfit.
Not sure that they had choreography. I'm sure they had dancers on stage, but anyway.
But goodness. But I have to ask this. So were they like young in their 20s? Like were they my age, like in the 20s, or were they like older than me, in more like millennials? Like were they millennials, like young millennials, or were they like old Gen Z like me?
I've lost the ability to like guess how old people are. I mean, I have no idea how old people are, like, you know,
right.
I mean, it's like it looks super young to me, but I can no longer really gauge how old people are. But if I had to guess, they were around your age or younger.
Okay, because I was gonna say, like, if they seem older than me, then that further goes and prove that it's not just Gen Z that don't know Two Live Crew, it's also millennials.
Tony knows who Two Live Crew is.
The age range for millennials, I'm sort of in the middle of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why some of the things I say aren't completely out there. But listen, you know, the what is it, the Pew research firm, right? You've heard of Pew Studies or whatever. Pew research firm, I believe is what it is.
I've never heard of. Maybe I might have ran across them while I was in college. Yeah.
No, I look at them as like a JD Power and Associates. It's like these fake made up things that sound official, like where often people will cite the Pew research study. They came out today and said that they have previously been like a lot of their reports have been focused on the generational divide, Gen Z. They're trying to undo our podcast, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh wow, they're preying on our downfall.
Shut them down.
Yeah, they I guess acknowledged that it's like grouping people in this category does not necessarily really report on a generation as a whole. What I found interesting, the one thing that I found interesting in this article was that they said it's the kids are the same age that they were. It's just let me try this again. Kids have always
Take a deep breath, Ryan.
Yeah. Bourbon number 2.
Become French all of a sudden.
Yes, I am.
The French.
You know who you sound like, Brian? You sound like Edna from The Incredibles. Edna Mode.
I was just gonna ask if anyone's seen the outtakes of is it Orson Welles doing a champagne commercial?
Oh my gosh, yeah,
And
yeah.
he's smashed.
He's
No,
so,
He's
hammered,
so
like-
drunk, and it's just big Orson Welles sitting at a table with 2 actors trying to seriously
Yeah.
film this, and
He's
he's just
like,
going, the French.
Sure. Yeah. He slurs his words together. Yeah,
It's
the
good.
French. Yeah.
Oh,
That's on YouTube.
hilarious.
That is worth a listen or a look.
The French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson.
Okay.
Also worth a look. Casey Kasem going on a expletive-filled rant while he's trying to introduce a song about a dead dog, and somebody's doing something that just sends him over the edge, and he loses it, and it's hilarious. That's on the internet for eternity.
Since the last goddamn time, I want somebody to use his fucking brain to not come out of a goddamn record that is that's up tempo, and I got to talk about a fucking dog dying.
Did you guys
How do
know?
we get here?
Hold on. You were in the middle of saying something, and we've gone way off track.
The blurb is
Your
beating
thought,
him.
and it's gone.
The Kentuckians.
You were talking
Right,
about.
is that what you say? When
You're talking about
British
the
instead of
research group and putting people in.
Pews, yeah.
French? Pew, pew. You were going to look up Pew. I was vamping while you gave me an educated take on who the Pew research firm was.
Oh,
You
I didn't know I was
think I'm
supposed to be
like-
looking it up.
No, man.
It's
come on
just a research company.
no. But
Pew
they
Research
okay, yes,
Center.
I had a fantastic point. They point that's right. This is where we reset. Oh, this has completely gone off the rails, but maybe
And we're
music-
back.
20-somethings are 20-somethings, but the set of circumstances that they are dealing with now is different. It's not necessarily that this generation is like this and this generation is like this. These group of 20-year-olds have dealt and are dealing with this situation. Basically, that it's more about the environment than it is the generation, which I found to be interesting. As
What?
Winston do I need
It
to
doesn't even make any sense. I thought it was just a quirky little way of separating people by ages.
Okay.
Here's a quote. Here's a quote. Hold on. When we see that younger adults have different views than their older counterparts, it may be driven by their demographic traits rather than the fact that they belong to a particular generation.
Thank you.
I mean, I guess
That's the most intellectual this episode's going to get right there.
Right. No, but the point that I took away from it was like, okay, so you've got kids. So my kids spent 1.5 years at home during lockdown, right? My oldest daughter was in high school and my youngest daughter was just coming the end of middle school, right? So the fact that has never happened before, that's going to shape them more in their generation. So you're going to say this generation is like that. But really what I think the Pew article is saying is like, we have to acknowledge that like things happen during that generation to make them like that. It's not necessarily their age and their generation. It's the circumstances in society that have probably made them like that more than just their generation.
I can see that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. That means I was able to somewhat explain it. I'm not going to have to cut this up in editing and trying to figure out how to make it coherent.
I think a lot of people have been thinking about that recently anyways. The fact that it's like, how is that going to affect an entire 12-year, 13-year span of kids in a generation that spent that time at home for so long?
Yeah.
Just like you're really seeing how dealing with 9/11 impacted my generation. Again, I was in middle school at that time, and it's just like, all right, during that developmental state for a bunch of people dealing with that drastic event and the change in American culture really has affected things. And it affected everybody. I think that's where we get a lot of the extreme opinions that we have nowadays on both the left and the right.
The earth is flat.
Yeah. But I also think that's where we get a lot of like the joke about Karens. It's just like, I don't remember seeing too much of that, and I have a feeling that that's sort of where that stems from. Just the entire drastic shift in everything from that point on.
I saw a stupid meme. What do you call a group of 11 Karens? A homeowners association.
That's good. That's great.
PTA. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's not unique, but I did see that and I thought that was kind of funny.
I was gonna say though, this episode got a little too intellectual.
Yeah,
there
man.
for
What's
a
up,
second.
Tony?
Yeah, we're a
how
little.
do we
Yeah,
go from Omi?
Yeah. Why are we all drinking and being smart today?
yeah. Like,
How's
what's
that
going
make any
on?
sense?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Listen, that's the whole point. We're all drinking. It's not supposed to make sense.
You guys
Yeah.
want to talk about dumb shit? We can talk about dumb shit. How about them aliens, huh?
Oh yeah.
Them aliens.
Them
Oh,
aliens.
man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was a little disappointed. It was an inch closer to like actual respected officials going, no, like seriously, there's some stuff out there. But we did. Winston, did we get anything? I mean,
No, I mean the most we got was like some guy confirming that like we have bodies of aliens, but the way I'll tell you this doesn't change the fact that I still have to go to my 9 to 5. I don't
Yep.
care about it. Yeah. It's just like, oh, the world's not ending. All right, I don't care.
yeah, it really does kind of boil down to that. You're like, okay, I think the build up to it was was also what made it seem like a little bit of a letdown. Like I thought we were gonna get something,
Yeah.
but
You think they would have like shown an alien on the TV?
Yeah, man.
Like that
you
would
know.
have been sick. They'll be like, here's Paul.
Now,
And
no,
it's just
now here's Tommy Lee Jones delivering a cephalopod, or it's like right, like.
I need sugar water.
sugar water.
Don't get me started. How many times we refer to Edgar suits in my household? But anyway, that's. But yeah, I think because there has been so much unofficially and talked about before this happened that this was like, okay, we didn't get to see the baby alien.
Yeah, and that's why it's just like, and here's the thing: when you listen to the testimony of the guy, it wasn't even him that have seen an alien. He's like, yeah, I worked with people who've seen aliens, and just like,
I know a guy.
Yeah, like I know a guy. Guys, my girlfriend's real. She just go to a different school.
She lives in.
Hey,
the
my
Niagara
girlfriend in
Falls.
Canada told me about the alien.
Yeah, we always.
Everyone's going, yeah, sure, bud.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, man.
Exactly.
He's sitting in the corner rocking back and forth.
Wasn't
Guys, you gotta believe me.
Wasn't what's his face on Stranger Things? Was his girlfriend in Canada? Dustin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's
I always laugh.
That was the joke. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the joke when I was growing up, it was I got a girlfriend, but she lives in the Niagara Falls area. So it was Canada, but it was like Canada without saying Canada. I guess it morphed to just straight up Canada. That's
mine was always you guys wouldn't know her. She goes to a different school.
You wouldn't know her. She lives in the north part of Vietnam. I'm sorry. Was that offensive? I can't say it. Winston,
it would have
what if
only
you say
been
that
offensive. It would have only been offensive had I been Korean, but Vietnam was united between the north and the south. Guys, you don't understand. My girlfriend live in Pyongyang. And that's, it's okay for me to make that joke because it's not like North Korea have access to the internet. They're just like Ohio.
Jeez. You guys are killing our fans in Ohio. And Tony and
we don't have fans in Ohio.
Shush, we do. The Buckeye State loves us.
Oh my God, they finally got dial-up?
So being from the Midwest, I mean, I know you guys have your fake hate for Ohio. I had relatives that lived in Ohio. I've been in Ohio. It is not as backwards as it is portrayed down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
listen,
like,
Ohio is the Alabama of the North. It's the butt of jokes, anyways. It's just easy to make a joke about the state.
Yeah. Well, again, we're talking from somebody from Pennsylvania, right? So that's like,
from Western Pennsylvania. There's going to be some disgruntledness here.
So Brian, what would you say is the Alabama of the North?
Alabama of the Midwest? Wow.
Oh, the Midwest, yeah.
I realized that my grouping
just say
of
Ohio
states,
and move on.
I was gonna say West Virginia of all places.
I don't think West Virginia.
I don't think so.
Is that
West
north?
Virginia is considered south. The bottom of Pennsylvania is the Mason-Dixon line, so everything below PA is considered the South.
Really?
Then why is it called West Virginia and not South Virginia?
why y'all call Best Western y'all up in the east?
So
yeah. Listen, now I saw and heard with my own senses while in Cleveland, walking past the Browns stadium, I saw somebody showing their tourist friend going, and that's the stadium where the Browns lose. And that's a quote. That's a quote from a Clevelandite. and they don't even like their teams. They know it's a loser town, and it's okay.
Sports teams, yes, but I believe people that live in Ohio tend to love the state. What
That's because
happened
they
to
can't
Winston? Did he
escape.
fall over? Is he laughing?
I'm here. My chair is falling apart as I'm sitting here.
There's
Good,
people
I
from
thought
my
you were like doing lines on your desk. That's what it looks like from here.
I wish that's what I
Oh,
was doing.
man.
Keep going,
Getting
I'm
crazy on
listening.
a-
I just gotta fix my chair while you
Getting
guys are
crazy on a
talking.
weeknight. Okay, so sports teams aside, I believe people that live in Ohio love Ohio, but I don't know. We'll have to.
Yeah,
We're
it's
gonna
not-
get a resident Ohioer on here.
It's a Buckeye,
what it
resident
called?
Buckeye, Winston.
A
That's what they're
Buckeye?
called. Yeah, a Buckeye.
God.
So if you live in Ohio, you're a Buckeye. If you live in Indiana, you're a Hoosier. If you live in
I love
Pencil-
Hosier. He made that song.
No.
Church.
This is, again, we're back to sports, man.
sports, and now to Winston with sports.
The Ohioans are Buckeyes because they don't have any other good sports teams. They've got to resort to the college sports.
What are the what are people from Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvanians.
Yeah, see that
That's
makes
it.
Pennsylvanians?
We've got
Yeah.
too many. We've got too many sports teams that you can't just you can't
just
pick
choose
one from the west or one from the east because they don't get along either.
right, but the people of Pennsylvania are called Pennsylvanians.
Pennsylvanians.
That
Yes.
sounds really cool though. Pennsylvania. They sound European almost, you know?
No,
That's
that's
'cause they're- that's 'cause they're-
Pennsylvanian
That's because they're a commonwealth and not a state. They have to be special and different.
and
Half of
rural.
them were minors.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of Amish. I mean,
Yeah, a lot of young people there, a lot of minors.
Oh, that's a terrible joke.
It's a horrible joke. It's a horrible joke. But these all may be cut off because you're like 10 feet away from your microphone while you're snoring.
Oh, my
on your
fault. I'm
desk.
sorry.
Winston, the only
Oh.
one with the adjustable mic. We've gone off the rails, Tony. Get us back on
I
track.
know.
seriously.
I think this diversion started with Omi's So Horny. Not
the diversion started when I said, "And welcome to the podcast."
that was where it went wrong.
That's where, yes. All right, so let's do this instead. Interesting or odd or first jobs that we had.
No,
everybody,
worst or
when they
worst.
start,
I
it's the
can
same
go.
thing.
I
That's
have
the
one.
same.
I'm kind of tipsy. I can shit on my old bosses, right? That'll be fun.
Are they
Abs-
Vietnam? Did you start
absolutely.
working before the
No.
age of 11?
Yes, I was in a sweatshop. You know, the Americans come in and they're like, "Listen, you're gonna make these Nikes for 12."
You know these
Don't send
Jordans,
it out.
right?
Do they pay you in chips like I hear? Do they pay the chips?
Oh, geez,
Yeah.
yeah, that's borderline offensive, but that's funny. But that's our thinly veiled protest against sweatshops, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
guys, sweatshop is bad. With that being said,
them
today's
suckers some American
sponsor,
restraint.
H&M. No, but my first job was there a while back. There was a big trend in the US where rolled ice cream was a thing. ROLL, roll ice cream.
Roll, gotcha.
Yeah, like a roll, because that's what it is. You roll it up.
That's right. dog.
You don't get a scoop of ice cream, you get a roll of ice cream.
Yeah, rebranding.
And for whatever reason, people think that you're getting a better deal out of that.
It is. It's rebranded ice cream, man. That shit's
Yeah.
fire. Or fire. I'm not
And
below.
so I remember working there when I was 16. This place had just opened up. It was almost like a fad at the time. Like people were saying it was going to be the new boba tea. Everybody was going to be eating it. So, you know, I got a job working there. And the job stinks. And, you know, like they're the overworking 16, 17-year-olds. And they're just like, well, if you work real well, you might get an ice cream with your name on it and we'll put it on the menu. And it's just like,
Really?
yeah, geez, thanks.
Is your
man.
name Ben or Jerry?
But yeah,
Decline
so,
the promotion if your name is Ben or Jerry.
exactly.
This is in
but yeah,
America. This is here in
this is in the
Atlanta.
US. Yeah,
Okay.
here in Atlanta. And so they tell us, they're like, yeah, you gotta get real good at chopping up the ice cream. So they'll give you like these 2 metal spatula and you just gotta slam the cream on like this like ice tray. Slam the cream. It's insane. That's an insane statement to say.
That's been recorded for you.
Yeah,
That's a soundbite.
digital footprint.
Hopefully, Winston doesn't ever run for office.
That that could be my campaign.
I'm on the
message.
slam the cream
Yeah, we're gonna-
platform.
My fellow Americans, we will slam the cream into.
Oh.
My
Anyway,
goodness. I'm sorry.
So okay, so the way that the ice cream work is you You stand in front of this freeze tray, and then you'll pour cream over the tray.
This doesn't get better. Keep going though.
Yeah, and then you have your metal spatula, and you're supposed to scrape it. And as you're scraping the cream together, you then put toppings on it. So that could be like
over here. Pardon me.
So that could be like candy, cookies, syrup, fruits, whatever it is that you pick before you get to the station. And so my job here is to just slam it and just chop it up. And then as the cream started freezing, it then becomes ice cream. And so you spread it all over the little ice tray or the freeze tray, and then you roll it up. The job is like, I guess it's cool, but as a 16-year-old, that's a lot of like manual labor.
Right.
And so
Gen Z in a nutshell.
Yeah, it was like I was getting an arm workout 4 days a week. For 8 hours straight. It was whatever. And if it's downtime and there's no customer, because who the hell is eating ice cream in the winter, right? You would then go in the back, either A, you're washing the dishes because they wouldn't hire a dishwasher, or B, you're mixing up the cream, or C, you're doing both things at once. So it's like, oh,
at the same time?
No. I don't think they would let us do that. But it's like, hey, finish washing all these dishes and then mix the cream from the machine in the back. Like you got Grimace, you're gonna prime the pump and whatnot. And
who's making the cream? Is there like a cream master? Is there someone?
Yeah, it's so funny you said that. That's the title of the guy that make the cream master. I'm not even joking. It's like I would report to my manager, hey, we ran out of the black sesame cream. Yeah, just go see Kevin the cream master. It's just like, why couldn't you just call him Kevin? Because he's a cream master. You gotta attach it every time you say it. And so it's like, hey, Kevin, we're out of the black sesame. Where's my title, kid? You're like, oh, my fault. Hey, Kevin, cream master, sir. Where's the black sesame? Cream master, Kevin.
Hey, man, if I'm making beer, I would like to be referred to as the brew master. So I suppose I don't.
Yeah, but
Kevin
the brew master and the cream master is two very separate things. Like
brew master sounds like there's work involved. Cream master, I don't know what's going on there.
There's
I don't want to be involved.
Yeah, you just don't know what kind of work it is.
It goes on behind closed doors. That's all I know.
It's behind the beat of curtains. Man, lots of callback this episode.
The longtime fans will appreciate this episode.
Exactly.
So Tony, let's go to your first/worst job. Slurst and or worst.
Slurst
the blurbin.
Slurst.
First and or worst job.
I wouldn't call it my first job. I did work for a day at a taxidermist. Like
what?
I worked at a taxidermist's place.
Was it like a summer job or something?
It was for a single day. It was like a family friend who was a taxidermist, and I worked just sanding down the plastic forms.
Yeah.
So they're not stuffed. Like if you shoot a deer and you mount its head on a wall, it goes on this plastic form. But they need sanded down so the surface area is rough so they don't slide off the form.
I feel like I've got so many questions. I feel like we could do an entire episode on this, but
taxidermy.
No, but listen, Tony's stint as a taxidermist. Like
I listen. All I did was I took the plastic forms and like this metal comb and scratched them off and sanded them down. I didn't touch any hides. I didn't get to do anything cool.
Man, I really wish you would have stuck it out for a week.
I know.
We'd have an entire episode if you stuck it out for a week.
It was just like, hey, this dude needs help for the day. He'll pay you like $20 or whatever to sand like $5 a form, and as many as you get through in the day, he'll just pay you that.
Kind of a good deal if you're asking me.
Otherwise, my first job, I worked as a dishwasher at a country club.
Oh,
it was like a mile from my house. And
my first job was a busboy at a country club. So
my buddy got me the job, and he was working as the dishwasher at the time. And he's like, hey, you live nearby. You want a job? I went, yeah. He goes, come down here. We're slammed and we just need some help. So I threw on some old clothes because I knew it was going to get gross. Showed up. He let me in the kitchen, and the head chef was like, what are you doing in here? And I was like,
I'm here to watch.
Oh, my buddy Jesse said you needed help. I was here to help. You're like, you can't just show up and work. Like, there's a process to this. I was like, he's like, do you want an application? I went, oh yeah.
Am I hired?
But that was it. Yeah, he gave me the application. He said, fill this out, come back tomorrow at 8 and we'll figure this out.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Jesse set you up.
Jesse was great. And then Jesse very soon stopped being a dishwasher. I like ended up replacing him. So I quickly found out, hey, my buddy just wanted out of this position.
Oh,
He wanted it filled. But to be fair, he moved up to the other end of the building that they called the snack shack. So it was like halfway through the course, you'd meet back at the building through this golf course, and you were close enough that you could come refill up on beers, you could get chips or candy or a hot dog or something. He would just sit back there. At first, he would show up with like his guitar, and he'd just like do whatever he wanted in this room while he sold junk food to these drunk golfers. But I would just show up back there. I'd work during the day on, through a summer, and it was just like, it's Tuesday at 2:00. There's nothing to do. So I'd go hang out with Jesse in the snack shack, eat free hot dogs and whatever I wanted out of there. He's like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Tony, the prom was worst first job. That sounded amazing.
Well, the dishwashing thing was pretty crap. But okay. I then did the same thing for my brother. It was also his first job, and I went.
Tony was like,
come over here, fill out an application. They'll freaking hire you on the spot, man.
Yeah, the pathward to upward mobility. That's clever. No, but yeah, my first job was in a country club, and again, this is in Indiana, so it's like country club is not like fancy ladies with big hats and stuff. It's like local people going golfing. But yeah, carrying like it. Parties
that you still need a membership. It's not public, but yeah.
Right. And carry carry food out at events and stuff like that. So yeah, it was basically a busboy and food runner. But my worst job was I won't say the name should they ever decide to sponsor the show for your rent-a-car needs. It was at a rental car place. This was a gap job. This was 100% a job to fill in a certain amount of time because I was going back to school. So it was like I need a job for like 3 months, and I went out and found this job. And
Did they know you were leaving after 3 months, or you just?
I'm not sure, but for some reason in my brain it was the right type of job that you're going to get if you're not going to be there very long. Despite the fact that I think training took me like a full 2 or 3 weeks. Renting cars at outside of Orlando's airport, at a large rental car facility outside of Orlando. And as you can imagine, Orlando probably gets quite a bit of traffic. And I soon found out that if you're going to make any real money at this job, you have to inform people that it is in their best interest to have some insurance on said vehicle or upgrade them to a nicer car. Or basically it's like, here's what they ordered. Whatever you can upcharge them on, upsell, you then get a commission on.
Yep.
So
it's kind of cool.
No, it's not at all, because you get people that have saved their entire, family savings to make this vacation happen. They get off the plane, come to the rental car place, and you're like, hey, you probably should get insurance, because if you wreck this car, you're going to be completely screwed. Never mind, your own insurance may or may not cover it. I don't know. I'm not aware of your insurance policy.
Right.
So if you could upsell them into buying insurance, if you could upsell them into getting a nicer car. I mean, and granted, some of them were, you could upgrade somebody from like, hey, looks like you got a large size car. Would you like a convertible? It'll be $20 more a day. And then you get a huge commission off that.
You're in sunny Florida. You want that open roof, man.
Exactly. And in some instances like that, where it was harmless, you could offer it and not feel like you were being a creep. But in other instances, you offer insurance and you're like, what they were paying for the rental car was already too much to begin with. And so now, you don't want to tack on another $30 a day.
Did you withhold that information sometime when you felt bad, or what?
Like Tony with the monster cables. I did not feel comfortable pressuring people to buy something that they didn't want or that wasn't necessarily needed,
Yeah.
I guess that's why I'm not a great salesman, because, like if somebody's doing that to me, I wouldn't appreciate it. Thing, So that was one of the jobs where you'd wake up in the morning and go like, I gotta go here for the next
you would never make it at Tony's TV store, Brian.
Right.
You can't cut it at Sears and the Blue Crew.
The Blue Crew. But and I guess it's because as an individual, I don't like to be sold to. Yep. Granted, sometimes people are helpful, like Tony. Yeah. Like, hey man, I promise
don't buy this TV.
Yeah. That webcam is going to be watching you run around naked in your living room for the next 7 months. You don't want that. I promise you don't want that. But yeah, so I'm not a salesman at heart in products that I don't feel that people believe. I could be a salesman in something that I truly believed in. like this podcast. Tell 10 friends. It's
That's
great.
true. Yeah. Tony was single-handedly the reason why Sears went out of business. Like they didn't sell
Listen,
enough
they
TVs.
didn't need my help at all, because by the time I joined up, this ship was sinking.
Oh, yeah.
It was going under. I was on for the ride for a bit.
Yeah. Stay
But-
tuned for a very special episode. So Tony details the downfall of Sears from the inside.
Besides first jobs or worst jobs, does anybody have anything interesting that they've done in the past?
I got one that immediately springs to mind.
Go ahead.
I mean, I was a child, so probably not, right?
No, he's
Child's
talking about
not a job.
from here minus 23 years.
Yeah, just interesting things. So Winston, I didn't know if you had anything like while you were in college, if you worked a weird job
Yeah.
during the summer.
Okay,
Well,
well,
you can go first while I think about it. Yeah.
Go ahead,
so
Brian.
this is totally crazy. I may or may have not mentioned on the podcast that I've worked at some of Orlando's theme parks. And while working at one of the theme parks, they put out a casting call for people to be in a commercial. It was a car commercial. It was when one of the new theme parks opened up and they had roller coasters. And they were looking for people that would get on a roller coaster or ride multiple times in a row. So what they would do is run this ride. I've got two instances. One was a roller coaster and one was
It was a kiddie coaster.
no, it was a water drop ride. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it generically.
Flume ride.
A flume ride. There you go.
Yes.
Said flume ride, or yes, roller coaster / flume ride. To ride it multiple times in a row, more times than a person would ride a roller coaster or a flume ride. I believe in the case of the roller coaster, it was like 14 or 15 times in a row. The ride and or park was not open at this point, so there was no queue. You weren't waiting in a queue. You literally finished the roller coaster ride and got back at the beginning of the line and then got on the roller coaster again. And what was interesting about this is it was a cross promotion with the theme park / auto brand. And basically it was like you would see the truck sitting there, like this majestic close up of the truck. And in the background, there's like a roller coaster loop going around. That's what this commercial was for. So they actually paid people to be extras on the roller coaster in this. And so you would literally just you'd go for a day, you'd get, ready to go and you'd ride the roller coaster while they're shooting the close up of the truck and you're in the background. So that happened on both a roller coaster and a log flume ride, to where I got paid for the day for just riding this ride multiple times in a row.
That's incredible.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's
It was
super fun.
it was a fun experience. And again, I was in my 20s and that's when I could ride a roller coaster back to back to back. And
I was gonna say, were you
rattled.
were you still screaming after like the 13th ride of the roller coaster?
I mean, I'll just say it. It was Islands of Adventure. I have nothing but good things to say. So again, like if Disney or Islands of Adventure or Universal is gonna sponsor the show, then we may have to go back and preemptively remove this. But yeah, no, it was Islands of Adventure. At the time the roller coaster was Dueling Dragons, which Tony has informed me is no longer there.
It is not. No.
Fantastic roller coaster, and literally you would get off the roller coaster, go right up because there was no queue, and get back on. And they just had like a group of people, probably 3 or 4 roll throughs of the roller coaster, and you'd ride it and then you get back on and ride it again and ride it. And then we broke for lunch. They gave you lunch and then you go back. And I think I got paid like $100 a day.
I don't know that I'd want to eat lunch and then ride a roller coaster like 8 more times though. I'd be like, it's craft services here after the shoot because I'll do that.
Yeah. Nope. I think I don't even remember. But again, in my 20s, I was indestructible. I could do that stuff,
Yeah.
Can you even tell us what car brand it was or whatever truck brand it was?
I think it was Dodge.
Yeah.
I think.
Man, that's crazy. I've always been a big fan of those roller coaster behind the Dodge back in the day, but now I can't even ride it because the roller coaster went out.
It's no longer there, man. I was basing my purchase solely on the roller coaster that was behind that vehicle. And then the second one was the Jurassic Park when they were getting ready to open that up. But what was crazy about that is that was just the ride. We would go up the fire escape side of the drop. We didn't even ride the whole ride because the ride takes forever, right? You're cruising through and it's a slow beginning. No, this was just the cars coming to the point right before you drop and the T-Rex pops out. And so we would literally do the drop, go down to the bottom of the flumes, splash, and then go up the side, the fire escape side of the platform part, and then get back on that way. They had us boarding, I kid you not, a plank. since the original boarding wasn't in there, and they were just so they would put a plank from the platform to the car, and you climb in and then go down again.
That's kind of fun though.
It was awesome, and you're like, I just got paid $100 for that and a free lunch. Fantastic, in your 20s, that was great.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a bit long-winded, but that was a great question, Tony. But that was probably one of the cooler things that I did and got paid for it.
It's a good answer because I have nothing. So it's like when I was in college, I didn't do a lot of interesting thing. I kind of I went to school, went home. That was it. So I can't sit and say like, oh yeah, I had this weird experience, No, none of that.
Yeah, didn't know if you had any interesting summer jobs or not.
Well, it was that one time when R. Kelly asked me to come backstage for whatever reason. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, you're probably better off there.
Oh, I've got so many jokes I could make there, but I'm not going to. So let's immediately go to Tony, who posed the question, which means he probably has something interesting for us to hear.
Well, I feel like mine's going to be underwhelming after yours now, but
well, I mean, it was a commercial. I got to ride roller coasters and was in a commercial. That's not.
I did some local commercials.
Oh, did you?
See, that's way.
I did some local commercial. I did some local commercials. Well,
yeah, are they on YouTube?
I will post them and show them to you later. I think there's at least one.
They are. Oh my gosh! How do we not know this, Winston?
How do we not know we were doing it with famous commercial star Tony?
Nope.
I did remove that.
Yeah, we'll remove his last name.
His social is 213-875.
Yeah. I did an internship at a local TV station in their like commercial production department, and towards the end, like most of the thing was like watching this guy make commercials. I didn't do any of the editing, and then when we went out to shoot at places, I would just carry equipment around, so it was very unglamorous as far as the internship went. But at the end, they were like, hey, do you want to be in one? I went, yeah.
Yes, I do.
So they just made me do a couple ridiculous things, and I was like, oh, that was great. I would do that again. But I did end up working at that TV station in their master control. So I worked for a few years running like the programming and commercials and things like that.
Due to his stellar performance in that commercial. That's what kind of commercial was it? Was it a car commercial? A Dodge commercial?
It was. Yes, it was. It was a truck commercial.
Oh man!
For a local.
Were you
dealer.
also on a roller coaster in PA?
That would have been great. I mean, like
coordinated event to get Dodge sponsorship. Who buys Dodges?
It was for a local dealership where like the joke of the commercial was I was outside trying to pick up like a bag of dirt or something like fertilizer, and scrawny Tony couldn't pick it up. And then this other dude walks out of the store and picks up like 2 and walks away. And it's like, guess you're not a truck person.
Truck owner? I don't think so.
So
they were just humiliating Tony.
That's
in
it.
Commercial.
It's like, hey, you want to be emasculated on local TV? Come on over.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's not like I wasn't getting paid for it. It was free. I was just like, I'll make a fool of myself.
Oh, this is fantastic.
They're like, do you want to be like this beta who can't pick up fertilizer?
Nobody used that term.
Real alpha.
Nobody to use.
Too early for that.
Then. Yeah, too early for that, Winston. Nobody used alpha beta.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I did
that's
that.
Great though.
I was a substitute teacher for a little while. I worked for the post office. The post office is the only job that I almost got fired from.
Okay,
again, talking of stories that I'm going, I don't know if we can tell this story or not. Here we go. I missed one piece. I don't remember if it was like certified mail. I missed sending out one piece of mail. It accidentally got left behind at the end of the day.
What was it though? It was probably like
it was a letter of some sort. It couldn't have been that big of a deal that if it would have went out the next day, in all honesty. But it's the government. It's a government job. And
sort of.
Somebody found out. Yeah, semi-government.
Yeah.
I had to take a civil service test for it.
Okay.
So I count that. But somebody found out, and like I don't know if it was like the district or regional manager called me and was like, oh, we can't believe that you've done this, and like chewed me out to the point that I was like in tears.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I didn't know. I'm sorry. And I hung up with this person.
Wee boy.
I'm freaking out, and I'm just sitting. Like my parents are like, "Are you all right? What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know what I did. Something. I messed something up." And so
didn't deliver Karen's
then my
clearinghouse sweepstakes.
My immediate postmaster, like the lady who ran the local post office, that I was like second in charge of the place. She calls me. She's like, hey, I'm assuming you didn't do this on purpose, and I'm sorry that this happened to you, but
did you get fired?
We're gonna have to let you go. And I was just like,
gosh.
are you firing me? They're like, she's like, the regular BS. She's like, my hands are tied. I can't do anything about it. And I just went, what if I quit? And she goes, what? I said, what if before you could fire me, I quit? And she goes, I can't do anything about that. If you do that, I went, you have a good day, and I will not be returning. So I wormed my way out of getting fired just by going, I don't work here anymore, so it doesn't matter.
You can't fire me.
You could have had a severance package, Tony.
I could have been living the high life on government severance, but
dignity was better. How old were you?
Yeah, how old were you?
Your 20s, early 20s?
I was 20, maybe 20. Like it would have been after I graduated, so it's 22, 23. But I was just like, are you kidding me?
I'll say this. It almost feels too intentional. It's like, we've been looking for an excuse to get rid of this kid Tony for freaking weeks now. He's been too good of an employee. We can't keep him around.
That is not true. The postmaster at this place, very nice lady, not a great teacher. I bumbled through this job for a year, and I'm surprised. I'm surprised that it took that long for something wrong to happen, and to call me out on it. But
so was the term "going postal"? Was that around yet?
Oh yeah, that was
so going postal,
70s or 80s.
Winston, do you know the term "going postal"?
Do I have to tell you? No, I don't know what going postal means. We don't mail stuff anymore. Exactly.
So no, but I figured the term "going postal" was one of those things that entered into the public consciousness that you say,
what, jumping the shark? Yeah, totally.
Right, exactly. Clearly, yes. Yeah.
There was a bunch of incidents, mostly in the 80s, where
okay. Postal workers went bonkers.
They snapped and just like shot up places.
Yeah, and the joke was because they could never. The joke was because they couldn't get any sense of completion from their job because it's the post office, right? And mail just keeps coming and coming and coming.
That's a Seinfeld joke. That's Newman from Seinfeld, where he's just like, "Why do you hate your job?" He's like, "It never stops. There's always mail. You deliver it, and more shows up." Oh yeah, gosh. That's a Seinfeld joke.
I've probably seen that, and I just internalized it, and that's how I'm explaining it to Winston, as Seinfeld did to the world.
So going postal was just them shooting up post office?
Going postal was a phrase for just snapping and going nuts.
Yeah, slang for like you lost your mind, so he went postal. He freaking lost it and went bonkers.
That's insane.
Wow, man.
That's like somebody saying, he went Columbine. It's crazy. Like what?
So I would get that, but nobody said that though. Yeah, because I guess as you said, mass shootings are not funny ever. You can't make jokes about them. Yeah, dude, you're violating the rule. We can make jokes about
we can cut it
subs.
out. We can cut it out.
We can make jokes about I don't know what else. North Korea,
aliens, North Korea, yeah.
No, we I guess we did kind of get away from the aliens, but I guess that sums
Sweatshops,
it up. What?
Sweatshops.
Sweatshops. Oh yeah.
Sex workers.
Everything's fair game, but not them. Not those.
Not schools. Yeah.
Gotta draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta have a little bit of humanity. Yeah.
Well, I'm drawing a line on the episode here. We're going to wrap this up here. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. Once again, if you made it this far, congratulations. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Tell a friend. Rate and subscribe wherever you're listening so you don't miss out on new episodes.
Hey, folks in Texas are truly listening, as Tony and I have discussed.
Washington. I don't know who's up in Washington. There's a bunch of people up there.
Thanks for listening.
Hi to Washington. Tell some.
The president's listening to us.
Hi, George.
Not
George.
DC. Not DC. State.
George.
State.
Why did you say George?
You said the president.
Oh my gosh, man.
Oh.
Okay, Tony.
He's a foreigner. He wasn't here. It's okay. You had to pass. You did say you had to pass a test, right?
Yeah, I did.
What's going on then, man? Come on.
Jorge Washington.
Listen, if you want us to talk about something, you can go ahead and email us at podcastxyz@gmail.com. You can also visit us on Instagram, and we are officially on TikTok. We've got our first TikTok video up. Again, we are Podcast XYZ everywhere, including our home on the web, our website, podcastxyz.podbean.com.
There you can.
WHYZ. You can find links to all of the places that we exist to go listen to, as well as Winston's watch and listen list that has some links to all of the things that we mentioned, as well as giant blocks of text. If you go, hey, they kept mentioning 2 Live Crew and these other things that I don't get, you can just search that page and figure out where we talked about it and go back and listen. But that's going to do it, and we will see everybody on the next episode.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.